Hello, my badass boys and badass babes. It is your favorite BA, double D, bad girl herself, Virgo the Vixen. As always, hit those likes and subscribe buttons wherever you're at. Today, I thought with the weather, turning more towards the fall, I thought, what the hell? Let's talk about my very first day at school. Now, to be fair, I had a little bit different school experience than what kids today now have. For example, we used to ride dinosaurs. I'm just kidding. It was definitely different because today parents have drop-off zones and all this other stuff. For us, it was more like parents just push you out of the car and you learn to either get out quickly or you would learn to roll kind of zone. Anyways, you see, my mother or my father didn't bother driving me to school. We lived literally a block and a half or 2 blocks, they would say, because they didn't like a block and a half, from the school. So their philosophy was simple. Walk. Why drive your kid 2 blocks when your kid can walk down the street to school? Save money. And you gotta understand, my parents weren't exactly the rich, they weren't the poorest, but they were just, like every other American family at that time, just trying to save a buck or two. And so, we just would have to walk to school. Now, for the record, did my mother walk with me on my first day? Yes. Why did she do that? Something about, she doesn't want me bringing that up and holding that over her head or something. I can't remember the exact words, but the point is I would probably hold that over her head and she wasn't going to allow that. So she walked me to school. And I told my mom, I just don't like the walk. There's some very bad people here. And this is what she told me. She goes, don't worry about the drug dealer over here. That's his house. You just avoid it. Trust me, he doesn't want anything to do with you. He doesn't need another reason for the police to come knock on his door, so you should be fine. I'm 6 years old, and this is the advice my mother is giving to me, okay? Not exactly the, Parent of the Year material, but still, nonetheless, I avoided that house, and to be fair, she was right. He didn't need another reason for the police come knocking on his door. So, I get to school, first day, I'm introduced to the class. Teacher, we'll just call her Mrs. K. Mrs. K was a great teacher. Young, very kind, very pleasant. And then she gets me stuck with her. I don't know what cardinal sin she committed to get me stuck with her, but let's just say things did not go quite well. You see, I'm 6 years old. I don't know any better. I don't know the cardinal rule of never ratting out the family, which will play into the story in just a moment. So, we're introducing ourselves. The teacher says, I'm Mrs. K, I'm your teacher. Then she'd, have every child stand up, and we were supposed to tell what our mommy and daddy did. Okay, this is the part where I start to rat the family out. Or, like I said, or tell the truth, whatever you want to call it. It comes to me, I say, hello, my name is, and I'm not going to use my real name, I'm just going to use Virgo, because it's, like I said in previous videos, it starts with the letter V, it's from the old world, and that's just my little secret, I'm just going to keep that real. Anyway, so I say, my name is Virgo, my daddy is a garbage truck driver, and my mommy likes to get drunk. I was popular because the kids thought, ooh, your dad gets all the cool stuff from the garbages. We did! I'm not kidding you. We had some really cool furniture and other stuff that my father got for being the garbage truck driver. But at that time, garbage truck drivers weren't seen as cool, okay? They were just seen as, nobodies. But, we didn't have to worry about, getting new furniture and finding stuff. We had some really cool stuff, but that's another video. But when I said my mother likes to drink, oh yeah. Somehow, some way, Mrs. K knows about my mother, and she starts laughing. I didn't think anything of it, so I'm just, I'm just being a normal 6-year-old. Okay, everyone thinks it's funny. I'm gaining some popularity. All right, maybe this school thing isn't bad. We're playing, we're doing kindergarten stuff. Like I said, it's been a couple hundred years. I Can't remember exactly everything I did, but I did a lot of things. All right, and the teacher, she's just monitoring us. We're coloring, we're eating, we're taking a nap, we're singing along. After, I think it was one of the sing-alongs, I asked the teacher very politely, "Why does my mother call you a loser?" Let's just stop the video right there and analyze what I just said. All right, I'm having a good time. I'm feeling good, so I thought, let's press my luck. And I asked the question. Hey, to be fair, I did raise my hand and asked. She called upon me. And so I asked the question, why does my mother think you're a loser? Okay, this is where things kind of go off the rails. So let's go back to the memory and start recording again. All right, after that, you should have seen the look of embarrassment on her face. All right. You know what? If I would have just left it alone, it would have been funny, it would have been cute, and it probably would have been a better memory than what happened next. She's adult, she just plays it off. It's like, honey, your mother, I'm not a loser, your mother just has a difference of opinion. Okay. Day goes by. I walk back because mom doesn't need to, she took me down there. I've been down there before. She knows I know the way back, so I get there. And at dinner, I politely ask Mom, why is my teacher a loser? I don't know why, but as a kid, you kind of pick up on certain things your parents say, and you kind of have to know more about them. And my mom was already one glass into the meal, and she kind of felt a little bit, how can we say, liberal with her answer. And her answer basically was the fact that she was 20 some odd years old and hadn't had a date in like 5 years, okay? That's how she put it, okay? Trust me, she put it in a very nice way. She said, yeah, she's like mid-20s and hasn't had a date in like 5 years. Which I don't think was true, but as a 6-year-old kid who loves her mom and dad, guess what? I take it like biblical scripture. So the next day, innocent enough, we're doing our thing. Next day at school, guess what? I asked the teacher, is it true that you haven't had a date in 5 years and that's why you're a loser? Okay, this is where the time where I go, this is where the teacher, she looked redder than the wig I'm wearing, grabs me and drags me to the principal's office. In the principal's office. All right. She is furious. First of all, I asked her what, apparently you're not supposed to ask your teacher why you're a loser in front of everybody, but needless to say, the kids thought I was great. It's like, well, I got more brownie points. Let's push it a little further. Well, guess what? The principal didn't think about it. Oh, God. Mr. B, he was pissed. He wanted answers as to where I heard this and why did I say it. Now, I was honest. Like I said, I was told, be honest with adults. Selling out the family. Like I said, I didn't learn about this trick. I sold my mother out. She sold her mother out. My daughter sold me out. I guess it's a family tradition. Okay, what can I say? So I'm smiling like a dumbass, telling the principal, yeah, my mama and my mother said that this lady didn't have a date in 5 years. She's a loser. She couldn't get a man. Oh, God. Yeah, like I said, this was still the age of corporal punishment where it was allowed. The teacher didn't believe in it, thank God. Otherwise, man, I would have got my butt beat. The principal is just mortified by what I said. My teacher is embarrassed. And who do you think they call? Yeah, they call my folks. And guess what? Dad's at work. Mom answers the phone. I swear to God, as a 6-year-old, I doubt it was like 3 seconds later, but it felt like as soon as they got off the phone, I felt this disturbance in the force. I felt this just pulsating negative energy just all of a sudden teleport from the house into the building. Okay? She was there like that. She's at the principal's door. She didn't knock. She didn't say hello. She opens the door and starts yelling at us, or should I say at me. I would love to say at us, but at me in our family's native tongue. She uses my full name, first, middle, last. You know you're in trouble as a kid. When your parents start using first, middle, last, you know you're in trouble. She'd start out that way. She is yelling at me. All right. They don't speak the language. I do. I'm 6 years old. I understand my mother's native tongue. And I guarantee you, I will give you the translation of what happened. Basically, she yelled at me, and, well, guess what? They didn't understand it, so that only just meant I get in trouble more. She basically said, you don't ever rat the family out. You don't ever say these things to adults unless I tell you to do so. And then she went on about, how do I want to put this without sounding vulgar? She says, never ever, and I'm trying to paraphrase this. Like I said, I don't want to get too vulgar, but she says, this is adult conversation you never bring up in school again. All right? Trust me, there was a lot more to be said, but needless to say, that's the PG version of what she said. Now, you have to understand, the principal and the teacher just see this woman just foaming at the mouth, yelling at me in a language they don't have a clue on. Me, I should be scared. I should be frightened. I should be kind of, shrinking or hunching down. I was, as a defense mechanism, I started giggling and laughing, which only caused my mother to get even more angry. All right, so I got pulled from school that day, and needless to say, I learned a very valuable lesson that night about not ratting out the family. All right, the next day I went to school. I had to apologize to the teacher in front of everybody, which kind of lowered my social status because I really wanted to get back up there. But it gave me ideas about how I could, entertain the class without, ratting out the family. That, and Mom gave me a few ideas because she didn't like Mrs. K, but that's for an entirely different story about what happened. Because I won't lie, I may have visited the principal's chair office 2, 10, 15. It was a lot of times, okay? Let's just say that wasn't the first. That's going to be the first of many visits. So let's review. First day of school, never tell your kids, or you got to watch I'm going to just rephrase it. Watch what you say around your kids because they're little sponges and they will rat you out if you don't nip that in the bud. Second, whatever you do, please don't beat your kid in school. My mother at least had the decency not to do that. And the reason why is because the principal offered it to her. I'm not joking. He said you can take her in the hall and you can spank her. We ain't going to see a damn thing. My mother knew better. She wanted to do it in private, Hey, you can't spank a kid in school. Well, at least back then you could, but like I said, corporal punishment, different story. But back home, different matter. Keep family business in the family. And I guess the final thing is, I was a mischievous little shit. What can I say? I'm the vixen. Anyways, who's your vixen? Bye-bye.